Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar session today. I'm actually just going to give it a couple of minutes just to allow people to log on to the webinar. We are streaming on Facebook Live as well, so I just want to give everyone some time to come on to the webinar. So just about a minute or two, and then we'll start the webinar. Just for those of you who are logging on, we're just waiting a couple of minutes before we start the introductions as people log on to the event. I see people logging on. So again, we're just waiting for people to log on just so everyone can settle in before we start the introductions. Just going to wait until 12:02. Okay, perfect. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join our webinar. My name is Sandra, and I'm going to help moderate the webinar today. Today, we're going to be discussing Guhuza's live interview technology and how it can help employers hire 90% faster. We have two speakers joining us today. We have Marc Belaiche. He is a CPA CA, and he's the president and founder of Guhuza. And we have Dianne Hunnam-Jones. She is Guhuza's chief revenue officer. Just a couple of things before we start the webinar. As I'll be moderating it, if anyone has questions in regards to audio or video, please feel free to post any concerns that you have into the chat, and I can help you as best as I can through the chat. If you have any sort of questions throughout the webinar, we are going to have a question and answer period at the end. So there's a little box at the bottom of the Guhuza screen. It's just named Q&A. If you can post your questions in there so I can keep track of them, Marc and Dianne will try their best to answer as many questions as they can at the end. And I think that's it from my end. I hope everyone enjoys the webinar today, and I'll pass it over to Marc.
Well, thanks, Sandra, for the intros and for organizing everything as always today. Again, my name is Marc Belaiche, President and CEO of Guhuza.com. I've been in the recruiting business for over 25 years, and I can't say I've seen everything. There's always something new, but the last couple of years has created an opportunity, which we'll talk to you about with Guhuza.com. And now I'd like to introduce Dianne, Guhuza.com's Chief Revenue Officer, who will kick off today's webinar.
Awesome. Thanks, Marc, and welcome everybody. So glad to see you here. Seeing as many people we have in the meeting today tells me we all share a common challenge, and that's recruiting in a very tough market. I've been in the recruitment industry for my entire career, and I really haven't seen a market quite like this. So what we're going to do today is go through three different things. We're going to cover the recruitment landscape, why speed is important, and we'll take you through a quick tour of our Guhuza technology. And thank you so much, Sandra, for making sure everything goes smoothly, hoping that our videos all work really well. So thank you so much. And please, as Sandra said, feel free to drop any questions in the chat and we will answer them as we go. So let's take a look at the current recruitment landscape. It's, in my opinion, fraught with complexities we have not seen before. As I said, I've been in this industry a long, long time, and I've just never seen a market quite like this. Hiring is just taking way too long, frustrating both the employer and the job seeker. Hiring has become very costly. The cost of doing everything is just astronomical. And that phenomenon, ghosting, which has typically been in the dating world, is very real in the job seeking world. And quite frankly, the old job board industry is just plain and stale and has to change. So that is the recruitment landscape, but I want to go into a little more detail and give you some points to take away from the recruitment side. So when we say that hiring is simply taking too long, time is being wasted. Think about the steps that you go through. And I reflect back to the last time I hired, writing a job description, putting it on a job board, then waiting for responses. Then when I get the respondents, hundreds and hundreds of people who aren't suited to my job, but I've got to take the time to go through those resumes, review the applications, whittle it down to those people that I think are the right kind of people, schedule my interviews, play the telephone tag backwards and forwards, conduct those interviews, do the testing, the background checks, get into the job offer negotiation, have my candidates start, only for them to ghost me on the first day of the job, and then I have to start the process again. So there's a very important metric in the recruitment profession, and that's the metric you're seeing on the screen right now. The time to hire is 36 days. That's on average. Many studies have been done on it. And time to hire means from the moment you have an open position and you post it to the time you get a person in the seat. Now, depending on profession, depending on geography, that time to hire can go up to as much as 60, 90, 120 days. So definitely hiring is definitely taking too long. Hiring is also very costly. Time is money. So a Glassdoor study recently looked at what does it cost you, just in pure dollars, to hire $16,000 to get a hire in. That's not taking into account the lost opportunity cost because the job isn't full, and that cost of the empty seat, and the cost of what you could have been doing instead of you and your team getting involved in hiring. So hiring is costly, taking too long, and it's costly. And ghosting is real. As I said, the trend that was just in the dating world has now moved into the business world, specifically the recruiting world. So ghosting is when all communication is stopped from one side or even both sides, hoping the other person will get the hint. Now, in the recruitment relationship, the interesting thing is that it's happening both from an employer and from a candidate standpoint, a job seeker standpoint. It's interesting that 20% of employers in a survey done by Indeed said they had not ghosted. But flip that around and say that means 73% of employers had ghosted a job seeker once they had interviewed them. How frustrating is that for a job seeker? And 80% of job seekers in that same survey said they have absolutely been ghosted once contacted for any sort of opening. And quite frankly, post-pandemic, ghosting is on the rise. People realize they have choices, they're moving quickly, looking to find what they want, and they are ghosting both sides of the equation. That's causing a lot of frustration for everybody. And then finally, I would say on the recruitment landscape, the old job board industry. There's been no change. 20 years, this job board industry has sort of adjusted the look and the layout and the feel, but they haven't really changed. The process is the same. Go post your job, wait for resumes, respond, interview, etc. So quite frankly, in our opinion, this has to change. It has to be disrupted. Think about, I just want you to think just for a moment of two examples here. Think about Uber, how that disrupted the taxi industry. It was an old, antiquated industry. Uber is now the standard for getting from A to B. And Airbnb, how that disrupted the hotel industry. So we believe the old job board industry has to be disrupted. But why is speed so important? What is it that is driving the need for us to all hire quickly? I see three things. I see the generational shift in the workplace. So I'm going to share some numbers with you and feel free to write them down. As of 2021 StatsCan census data, Generation Z and Y account for 51% of the Canadian working population. So think about that. Half of the workforce are what we loosely call the millennials. That changes the expectation of people in the workforce. They want things quickly. You think about the Generation Z, which that's 18% of them. We call them they were born digital. They grew up literally with a phone in their hand. They spend half of their waking hours on a screen. Their expectation is things happen quickly, and they happen on a screen. So I think the generational shift has definitely pushed this disruption in the industry. Social and economic factors, post-COVID, as we all know, employees, job seekers realize they have options. They don't want to go back into an office. They want remote, they want hybrid. They're looking for other things, unlimited PTO, other things that become important to them. So they are moving jobs and moving them quickly. Couple that with the expectations for wanting that instant gratification, wanting to do things online. We need to move quickly. You also need to know from a social and economic standpoint, the job market is still extremely hot. The job openings, number of job openings outstrip the number of available job seekers in the marketplace. So you're competing against everybody else. So you have to move quickly, otherwise you will lose the right candidate. And of course, the thing that talks to all of us as small business owners is time is money. You think about everything that you and your team could be doing in your business versus spending it on all that time that we just spoke about that you take to go and recruit a candidate. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce you to Guhuza. To really wrap it up, our feeling is employers and job seekers don't have the patience anymore to go through this lengthy recruiting process as they used to. They want speed to connect and hire interested job candidates immediately. So with that said, I'm going to hand you over to Marc to tell you a little bit about Guhuza.
Terrific intro, Dianne. Great stats and great information. And it is an ever-changing dynamic in the recruiting market, isn't it? So what we came up with is Guhuza. Now, Guhuza is not a job board, and I want to stress it. I want to repeat it. It's not a job board. So if you're thinking, oh, this is just another platform, this is just another area where I'm going to get candidates, and or I'm going to upload a job, post a job, they're going to apply. This is not this. Guhuza is in a new segment of recruiting under the umbrella of hiring platform or staffing platform. And that saves you time. That's the next slide as well, Dianne. That saves you time, and I'm going to go through this by eliminating most of the steps in the hiring process. So as Dianne had just mentioned, all these steps to get to that 36 days on average, well, we're going to cut out a lot of these steps and a lot of the time killers in this thing, so you can be competitive and you can get candidates faster than your competitors. So we're going to cut out receiving resumes. We're going to cut out reviewing resumes, that you don't have to do that. We're going to cut out the part of you contacting candidates. And we're going to even cut out the part of you scheduling interviews, because all that stuff is going to happen through our platform as well. So next slide as well. So here's how Guhuza's AI matching technology works. And these are all integrated solutions, again, to save you time and accelerate the flow of a candidate going through your process. So we're going to show you in a live demo here shortly, but conceptually, all you do is you upload your job description. We go to work with Guhuza within seconds. You can interview live within minutes candidates that are matches for what you're looking for. You can then also do automated testing on our platform. You can also do background checks on the platform, and then ultimately find and hire your candidate. So our goal on our end is to have your position. We take it down from 36 days down to 24 hours. We want to get you a candidate starting to work in that position by tomorrow. I know it's very ambitious, but we can do it with the tools that we have that we've been creating. And this has been going on for 2 years now. So our goal is to have that position filled by tomorrow. Our platform reduces all the time by 90%. The pandemic changed the way people look for jobs. Dianne talked about that and how they work. Guhuza started really after the pandemic. We've been at this for about 2 years now, really looking at all the different areas. So let's have a look at the process in action.
So let's take a look now how we can increase your hiring velocity and cut down that time to hire. On the Guhuza website, we have a system where you go in and you put your job in the system. All our candidates in the database will then be matched to that job by a specific algorithm. And those candidates then will be notified that you are hiring and interviewing live right now. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I'm going to go into my employer account. It's very easy to set up your account. A few pieces of entry in and you're ready to go. I've already been using this account and I've had other jobs in the system, but I could add a new job. I would add in a customer service specialist. I put the title in, I'd upload the job description, or I could compose it from scratch. I push next and my job is ready to go. I'm actually not going to do that. I'm going to use one that I have already, and I'm going to show you with my customer service specialist how I can very quickly find candidates. Wonderful. Shadia has now joined the waiting room. That means she received a text or an email the moment she matched my job description for a customer service specialist. And the fact that she matched allowed her then to look at the job description, make the decision if she wanted to actually interview for this job. And she has now joined. I can start my interview or I could decline her if I look and decide she isn't what I want. But I'm looking at her resume. I think that she definitely is the type of candidate I want. She's got great customer experience. She lives where I need her to live. It's perfect. So I'm going to start my interview with Shadia. And now we're going to connect to Shadia so we can go ahead with the interview. Looks like she's connecting and joining. And as I say again, it's the matching algorithm that matches Shadia with our specific job. So Shadia, that must be you. Welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you? Hi.
I'm fantastic. I do have somebody else who has joined our waiting room as well, which I think we'll have a look at too. But for the demo purposes, if you could just tell everybody how you found the experience from getting the text to logging in.
Of course, yes. So the experience was very straightforward. I guess as soon as you opened up the job, I got a text message and I got an email where I clicked the link and it sent me straight into the waiting room where I had time to look at the job description and prep for the camera work and make sure that the sound was correct. So seamlessly.
Which is perfect. Thank you so much, Shadia. I appreciate you participating in our demonstration. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. So now, if I really like Shadia, I can go ahead and I can order some services on her, meaning background checks or assessments. So she's a call center person. I might do a call center assessment for her. We'll go through that in a little more detail. But I do see that somebody else, Marc, has joined our waiting room. So looking at him, looking at his resume, absolutely he's going to be somebody that I would like to chat with. So I'm going to chat with Marc, start my interview. And this is just demonstrating for you how quickly this can all happen. So you could see that Marc was waiting for 1 minute. He got the ping. You saw live from when I pushed the find candidate button and I found candidates immediately. So Marc obviously took a look at the job description, didn't like what he saw, and he decided to leave the waiting room. So as an interviewer, I'm not wasting time on people who perhaps aren't right for my position. So just wanted to show you that so you could see how this definitely does speed up your hiring.
That's great. It's amazing how you were in 2 places at once, Dianne. And your lips didn't move on the first one. Anyways, no, that was really great. And that really illustrates the whole concept of Guhuza. The speed, how to interview on the platform. You don't have to leave. You don't have to screen resumes. You've got the job. And I'm going to show you a little bit later how to upload that job description as well onto our platform. So now, Dianne, you're going to talk about what the candidate sees.
Yeah, so what we have here for you is a view of what happened on Shadia's side of the house. So you saw she got a text saying she received a customer service specialist job from Guhuza. She gets to go look at the job description. She obviously has to enable her notifications. She can download the job description. She looks where I'm located. She's checking to see is this all legitimate. She's excited. So she'll join the waiting room. She's decided I will do that. Now she's in the waiting room waiting. This is her waiting for me to decide whether I want her. So she again can look at the job description, make that decision, and decide whether she wants to stay in the waiting room, which we saw in the previous demo that Mark didn't want to stay. So he left and he was done. But I've decided I wanted to meet with Shadia, and she's agreed, and we've started our meeting. So she's doing this all on her phone. She's a definite millennial, works only on her phone. And this is her view and how she sees the interview, all very personable, which, by the way, the millennial generation are looking still for that personal touch, but they want it fast and quick, and they want it through technology. So at least we were face to face. We could have a chat, did our interview, and we finished our meeting and we were done. So that's the experience from a candidate standpoint. So now you've seen both sides of the equation.
That was great, Diane. And yeah, we went through a little bit quickly on the candidate side, but of course they're looking at speed too. They want to get connected. Is there a job? They see it. They want to get in. They want to get the interview done for sure. Excellent. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. We all know that this is a bit of a change in mindset. We've talked to a lot of clients, and they're, well, I'd rather use what we're familiar with. Well, okay, so you want to post a job today, you want to get candidates tomorrow, the next day, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Then you got to call them, you got to screen the resumes, you got to call them, schedule an interview. That takes 2, 3, 4, 5 days versus your competitors that are getting candidates interviewed right now. What would you rather do? I mean, that's really the question. What would you rather do? Would you think of Uber? Would you rather call a taxi company and not know when they're coming, and be lost and not know how much it's going to cost, or if they accept credit cards? Or would you rather go to an Uber type platform and just get the information now? And obviously that's what we're doing here on the recruiting space. So, okay, so now I'm going to show you how to actually use the platform for one category, one area that Diane did not show, and that was just uploading a job posting as well. And so I'm just going to go, I'm an employer, I'm logged into my account, and you can do this. This is your account page where you can see all the different areas, notifications. You'll also get notified yourself when there's a candidate that comes onto the platform. You can have your company profile and personal information, and I'll get into the skills test and background screening shortly. And then candidate test results, which I'll talk about soon, is there. But I'm going to go into my jobs area. So I'm going to add a new job. And again, this was on Diane's video, but I'm just going to go into it in a little bit more detail just to show you how easy it is. So I'm going to put on here executive assistant as my title. And we created this with the idea, this was created by recruiters for people who are in the recruiting process. So there's two ways of getting a job description. I can upload the job description, and in which case I'm just going to bring that over from here and copy it in. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to create the job post, and it just takes a couple of seconds for it to get into our system. Or the second one is, and I'm going to show you, so here's my job post. My job is here, and it's been uploaded to our system. You can update it or download it if you need a copy of it. The alternative is that you just add a new job and you want to compose or copy it from somewhere. So I'm just going to copy it from somewhere else here. I'm going to put executive assistant, and there's my job description, and I can edit it from here as well. And pretty straightforward. Create the job post, and you're there. And then from this process, again, all you need to do is click on that magic button that is find candidates, and that starts the search for candidates that meet the requirements of your position. So that's really how simple it is. Now I'll come back to the minutes here in a second here, but the candidates will start popping up in here as they populate, as they come on as they agree. In the example before, Shadia popped in, and this is where she came into it. And if you have your notifications set up properly, you will get a text message to say a candidate has come into your waiting room, so that you don't have to be sitting here kind of going, okay, is this working, not working, or whatever. So we have various methods to ping you. One is there'll be a bell that will go off on your computer to let you know somebody's come in. Two is you'll get a text notification. And three, your tab will change colors as well. So we don't want you to miss a great candidate. So we've set those up so that you can be there. Now, again, as Dianne had alluded to, if you do have a candidate, you can then order services. Now, you can see the different services. We have skills tests in here. There's over 500 skills tests on here. So if you're hiring for an accounting position, for example, you can run different searches. All the tests are $49.99 Canadian, and you can run all these tests depending on where you want. There's various tests, everything from call center to accounting to admin to typing and so on. You will get the results in your account tab once the candidate has finished the test or whatever it is, background check and so on. Now, the other option here is background screening. So we also have criminal record checks. If you want to do a criminal record check on someone, for Quebec, there's driver's abstract if you're hiring for a driver, education, digital criminal record checks, and so on. So you can see all the great testing and background checks that are available on the platform. And again, we want to keep everything on one platform, very simple, so that you don't have to go, if you're using another company to do this and you're using a company to do that. We want to have you on the platform and solve all your problems when it comes to recruiting all the way through. Again, this was designed by recruiters. Our team has over 150 years of recruiting experience, and we came up with, we're proudly Canadian, we're based in Toronto, we want to help you. And this is also powered by TorontoJobs.ca. Now, just coming back to my account, just quickly, the skills test, the background screening you can get through here. I'm going to cover the plans and pricing in a second here. But, again, the star feature of Guhuza is the live interview. And once you find candidates, then you'll move them through the process much, much faster than anyone else. So notifications, I just want to touch on. This is where you want to make sure that your notifications are set up properly. Days you want to be notified, time you want to be notified. We recommend that when you're doing a job, when you're finding candidates, that you run the searches between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. local time, Monday to Friday. So not Toronto time, but just local in your area. And so we've given you a number of different tips on here. You can record your interviews as well, and I'm going to cover that. And when you're ready to start interviewing and when you're finished interviewing. So just kind of a little bit beyond the scope for today, but just so you can go. Now, we do also have a great knowledge base as well that you can ask any questions, how to search, or questions about interviewing. There's lots of different areas. And one other thing I want to show you is when you're adding a new job and you're not sure about writing a job description, we've given you some tips here as well on how to write job descriptions too. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to just use the platform, get candidates quickly, test them, and reduce that 36 days down to 1 day. The final thing I'm going to go through is just the pricing for you, so you have an idea as to how much this is. Now, the great thing about us is that you can upload as many jobs as you want. We don't charge you by number of postings because we're not a job board. We're a platform. So you may be thinking, okay, this is, I pay X amount for a job posting, or I can, a candidate can search jobs. Candidates cannot search jobs. They're not invited. They're not showing any jobs. So you can keep your company confidential. You can keep your jobs confidential until such time as you're actively looking for someone. So you're not going to get calls from companies saying, hey, I saw from job seekers, I saw your job posting on such and such. because it's not advertised anywhere. There's nothing that candidates are searching for. Remember, candidates are frustrated with the whole process as well, not just employers. Candidates are also frustrated at how long it takes creating their resumes and tweaking their resumes and applying and reading long job descriptions. And 75% of those people never hear back also. So they're just as frustrated as employers are in this whole game. So I'm just going to talk about plans and pricing, and then we'll take some questions as well that we have. So we thought about this in a very different way. Again, we're not a job board. So in the job board mentality, you're paying for job posting. You're paying for, perhaps you set a budget. Sometimes you get charged on number of candidates that apply or a certain budget each day, whatever it is. We wanted to take a totally different perspective on this, and we wanted to basically guarantee you results. We don't get paid unless you interview candidates on our platform. Like, how great is that? So we came up with a plan to charge for minutes, not by postings. So to get you away from the mindset of that posting mentality. So what we've done is we've created these programs, these plans, based on what we think companies will be. So our basic plan is usually good for somebody who's got one open position, maybe a one-off position for a very maybe small company. The pro plan is suitable for typically companies that have 1 or 2 to 10 employees. And in that case, you probably have 1 to 2 open positions a month. Our business plan is for companies that have generally 11 to 50 employees, because they typically tend to have 2 to 5 open positions based on our research. And the enterprise is suitable for typically 50 to 100 employees, because they typically have 6 to 10 open positions going on at any one time. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to box yourself into one of these plans. If you just have 1 to 2 open positions, even if you're a 50-person company, you can just take this plan. And we charge by the month. And each of these packages comes with minutes. So 30 interview minutes, that's half an hour. You got 3 hours here, you got 9 hours here, and you got 40 hours there. So we don't want you to be worried about the minutes that you're spending and, oh, we got to stay under. Not like I remember years ago, if you did a long distance phone call to without a payphone, you had to keep your money handy, your coins. This is not this. We want you to use the system. We want you to use lots of minutes. We want you to be happy with the candidates that you find. So we've given you lots of minutes. So don't worry about, I got to rush, because this should be more than enough. Now, if you run out of time, you can also buy extra minutes, and you can see the plans are very reasonable, and they won't be like this for forever. As we grow, as we get more candidates on the system, we have close to 10,000 candidates on our system already registered, and we're growing very, very quickly. So as we continue to grow, the cost will come. Now, if you buy now, you'll get lower prices, of course. So you can, right now I'm on the current plan, but you can upgrade the plan or you can downgrade the plan. There's no commitments, there's no credit card for this one, so you're not signing up, you're not signing any contracts, you're not signing any contracts for any of these things. You can do it for 30 days and then back down to the basic plan. Or if you want to go annually, we also have very reasonable packages for annual plans, and your minutes are topped up. So in the free one, your interview minutes are topped up on a monthly basis. So if you use 10 minutes, you go back up to 30 minutes on your monthly renewal date. And if you have more than 10 open positions, contact our sales team. Probably will want to design something specific for your individual needs. Now that's it for that. Have I missed anything? We've got our help, contact, about us. You can always use our support to send us a message through here as well. We respond very quickly. Anything else I missed, Dianne?
I think that I just want to emphasize the value of definitely the live interview, and we're talking about that right now, but I don't want it to be lost that the value of your background checks and your skills assessment, all within the platform, all done sort of real time, is just a huge advantage in your hiring process. I don't know about you guys, but I've hired people and then after the fact done the reference check and found out something that maybe would have stopped me from hiring. And same thing with assessments, you know, tell me you're an Excel guru, well, prove to me you're an Excel guru. So that assessment piece is a very important part of the complete package. But the beauty of it is you're not going anywhere, you're doing it all within our system.
Yeah, it's very quick, and again, you know, it's been designed by recruiters, you know, we've tried to make it simple. Again, so just to wrap up a few things, real quick things. We're not a job board. we're in a different area, staffing platform, recruiting platform. We're the only platform right now where you can get all these services in one space. We're reducing your search time from 36 days, and our goal is to get you somebody started by tomorrow. You get 30 minutes topped up. There's no commitment, no credit card, no contracts. You can just try us out, and unlimited postings. So post away. The platform is also powered by TorontoJobs.ca, and that means that in addition to Guhuza resumes, you get access to the TorontoJobs.ca resume database as well as many other databases. So keep that in mind as you're using it, that you're getting access to not only Guhuza resume, Toronto Jobs, and other partners as well. So I want to thank you. I know we're going to take some questions here, and I want to thank you for attending. And over to you, Sandra.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we do have a couple of questions. So if you both are ready, yep, you guys are ready?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So Michelle is asking, do you have employers looking for administrative staff in the downtown Toronto area?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. So thanks, Michelle, for being on in your question. Yeah, so one thing that we didn't talk about, and we did talk about this being powered by TorontoJobs.ca. We are only really concentrating right now on the Greater Toronto area. That's our hub. That's our expertise. We want to get this system so down pat that we can then go out into different areas. So call this a prototype. Call this a what's a good word for it, Dianne? What's the word? Beta, yeah.
This is where we're testing it. Yep.
We're testing it in Toronto. We want you to use it. That's what, you know, we're basically giving away for free, basically, for you guys to use it. So to answer your question, do you have employers looking for administrative staff in downtown? Yes, we have everything. So far, we've had everything from legal assistant to accounting to administrative staff, customer service. We've had a real broad range of companies that have used us for very different positions.
So Michelle, it sounds like you need to get onto the Guhuza website and register as a job seeker and go through that experience. And you will know, as we said, we're not a job board. So you will then only be pinged when there is a job put in the system that matches you. So it's getting used to the idea that you're going to be pinged and you want to get ready for an interview, which I think leads to the next question, Sandra, but I'll hand over to you.
I didn't know, actually, I didn't know if Michelle's question was she's looking for a position or she's an employer looking to fill a position.
It's she had asked, do you have employers looking for administrative staff in the downtown Toronto area? I guess though, for employers, you could speak to maybe the industries, like is Guhuza for all industries? Maybe just as an extension to that question. Yeah,
that's a good, yeah, we're pretty broad. I mean, we're, I think, you know, where our, and I see another, I see Michelle actually looking for a position. Yeah. So, yeah, we're pretty broad in all areas, and we can really expand, you know, industry, level of position as well. So, yeah, I think the answer is that overall, we can pretty much target anything in the Toronto area to start.
Okay, so we have 2 questions from Mark here. What happens if the person is interested, but they are not available to interview when they get a message? How do they connect after a period of time?
You want to take this one, Dan?
I'll take with just a quick example, and then Mark, you can go into the sort of the background workings of it. So I say, think Uber. If I want a cab, I want a drive, should I say, I push the button now and an Uber comes to my door and takes me where I want to go. So it's the same thing. This is this paradigm shift we're talking about. If I'm an employer and I want somebody now, I push the button, find candidates, and those who are available and ready now will pop into my waiting room. So that is as simple as it is. But Mark can talk to you a little bit about the matching algorithm and how that all sort of plays into the background.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing I would add to that, Mark, is that yes, to Dianne's point, it's the here and now. It's we don't want to get ghosted. We don't want to schedule something in advance. We don't want to, if an Uber car is in the driveway or in the shop, or the Uber driver is not looking to work, they're not available. You go on to the next one. So that's kind of what we're doing here. Now, we do have it in the system such that if you're an employer and a candidate is not ready, or they see the text, they get the text message or email a little bit later, they can still enter the waiting room and you will get notified. And if you are available to interview, then you can start the interview as well. So there's no scheduling, but there is the opportunity for that interview to happen a little bit later on.
So Mark showed us all the notifications as an employer, and that's the key as an employer, because you don't want to miss out on somebody who could be suitable, who perhaps wasn't ready at that moment. So Mark, hopefully that answers the question. If somebody's not ready, they can push the button later. And if the employer happens to see the notification, they'll then go look and see the detail and decide, start interview because I am excited about this candidate.
And there's a Mark with a K, and there's a Mark with a C. We're both Mark B's. So anyways, thanks, Mark, for your question. There's another one as well.
Yeah, he has another one. So can you provide stats for how many resumes you have for various categories, for example, technical writers?
So we don't have the stats right now as we're continuing to build, but we generally say, because we leverage a lot of the TorontoJobs.ca resume candidate database, that there's about 10% for each broad category. So 10% admin, 10% HR, 10% accounting, and so on. So technical writers is a very specific area of expertise, and it's a tough area to find candidates, as we know. So I don't know, how many resumes or what percentage might be within technical writers. Might be 2%, 3% perhaps, but broadly it's 10% in the main main recruitment areas.
Do we have time for a couple more?
Sure.
Yep. Okay. Yes. So another question that we have here is, where are you sourcing your candidates from?
Okay. So as I mentioned, we do have candidates that upload their resumes on Guhuza. We didn't show you the candidate process of it, but it's very simple, where all they need to do is just upload their resume. Again, they don't search for jobs. They don't sign up for notifications. Once they're in, and then we'll let them know when there's a job that comes up. As Guhuza is powered by TorontoJobs.ca, as I mentioned, we also integrate the database from there as well. And we have other partners that we've also are accessing resumes. And as we go on day to day, we're going to continue to grow that resume database. And these result in all these sources result in you getting the best candidates available in the market, which is our plan. And but we have two customers. We have the employers and we have job seekers. So we're fixing both problems on both sides. So as job seekers realize that, wow, I don't have to search jobs. You mean I don't have to tweak my cover letter and resumes? No, you don't have to do that. We're going to get more and more people coming on because it's so easy for them too.
Okay, I think I'll do one more question.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So the other question is, what is your matching AI technology based on? Is it location, skill set?
Mark, you want to take this one too? Yeah,
go ahead. All right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have state-of-the-art AI technology. It's always learning from previous searches. So every time we do a search, we get better. We review all results right now for all jobs, so we know whether we're giving you the best candidates or not, and that will continue until we really, really perfect this. We purely really now base our matches on comparing the job description with the database of resumes. So you got job description over here, resumes over here. We compare, we don't look at anything further other than the experience and skills, and we get better and better every day, making that match as best we could. Now, in terms of location, we could match on location, but what we have found, especially with COVID, is that sometimes a company starts with the mindset of, we want this person to work in our office. We need somebody. Maybe it is a frontline role, maybe it's not. But then what happens is sometimes you interview somebody who's really great, but has to be remote, has to work remotely, because geographically or otherwise, and that includes anywhere across Canada for that matter. And then they end up hiring that person without the initial intention that that's what they were going to do. So we don't match on location, because we say, hey, you know what, we want to present the best candidates to you regardless of where they are. If you feel that, you know, location doesn't work or remote options don't work, that's fine. Now, keep in mind that the candidate will also self-exclude themselves if they don't want to work, say they're in BC and you're located in Toronto and they don't want to work in Toronto, remote or otherwise. They can self-exclude themselves by not going into the waiting room in the first place, and you'll never know who those people are as well. So that's how I would answer that. AI, location, skill set, purely resume matching, and we score them based on the resume to the job description.
Okay, so it's 12:45, so I think that's all the time that we have today. Is there anything else that either of you would like to add just before we stop the webinar?
I'll add very quickly. I think Mark showed you the pricing. So if anybody wants to just test it out, just go on, set up an account. It's free right now. Test it out. Be part of the change that we all want to see in this industry.
Yeah, we'd love to show you a one-on-one demo, and in the chat, Sandra has also posted a link to how to get a demo done. And really, if you want to do a demo, it's be 10 or 15 minutes. We can help you out. Just click on the link in the chat, or if you go to Guhuza.com, click on employer, and you'll see the book a demo circle throughout the employer side.
And I've also linked the pricing page there as well for live interviews.
Great.
So it's all there in the chat. And also it is being recorded. So this will be, if anyone would like a recording, I guess they can email either Dianne or Mark, if that's okay. Yes. And then I can send along that recording. Great.
Well, I just want to say thanks, Sandra, as always, for setting this up and coordinating. And thanks to you, Dianne, also for all the prep and your great slides.
And thank you, everybody, for attending, and best of luck with speedy hiring. Give it a go.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.